Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots from Snarful Solutions Group, right here in Sacramento, California. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan. Hey, everyone. Glad you could join us. We're here to cut through the noise of tech news, connect the dots, and figure out how all this stuff actually impacts your world.
Exactly. And connecting those dots with you today, it is Thursday, June 12th, 2025.
Yeah, and if you're stepping outside here in Sacramento, well, it's looking like a beautiful day. Sunny skies, clear, forecast high is hitting around 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Can't beat that. All right, a quick check on the markets before we dive in. From Thursday's close, the Dow Jones finished up at 42,668.77.
Okay.
And the S&P 500, that closed at 6,012.93.
Got it. All right, so let's get into the tech side of things. We've been going through our internal Snarful Tech article report, sifting through what's making waves.
And we've pulled out three key stories today that really caught our eye, not just for the tech itself, but for what they could mean down the line.
Definitely. Where should we start?
Let's kick off with Amazon. This could actually change what you see when you're browsing. They've just rolled out their free AI-powered video generator for ads.
Oh, right. I saw that. It's for sellers, yeah.
Exactly. It's now widely available across the U.S. after, about 9 months in beta testing? Mm-hmm. And they've apparently updated their AI image generator, too.
So what does this thing actually do for the sellers?
Well, it's pretty clever, actually. It lets them take their existing product photos, the standard static shots.
The ones on the white backgrounds.
Yeah, those. And the AI turns them into short, 8-second video ads. Amazon's calling them low motion videos.
Low motion. Okay, so subtle movements.
Right. It adds pans, maybe some animated bits, just makes it more dynamic than a still picture.
Yeah.
Or if they already have some video clips, the AI can sort of remix those too.
And the AI knows what it's looking at. How?
It's trained on, a mix of open data, but also, crucially, the product information that's already in the seller's Amazon Ads account. So it's tailored.
Okay, that makes sense. Who's this really aimed at, though? Is it for the big brands?
Seems like the opposite, actually. Amazon's saying it's primarily for the small, independent businesses, the ones that don't have a huge marketing budget or a dedicated video team.
Ah, okay. So it's about leveling the playing field a bit.
That seems to be the idea.
Yeah.
Their VP mentioned helping sellers do more with less, getting them beyond white backgrounds to show products, actually being used, in real life.
So it can show, a watch on someone's wrist or someone drinking from a mug, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Or add little animations, like a figure adjusting the watch or a camera panning across. And it's customizable, too.
Customizable how?
Sellers can add text, which can also be AI generated, throw in their logo, mess with the clip length, change the order. It's not just a one-click and done thing, apparently.
Huh. And how fast is it? Because video usually takes time.
Get this, they claim it can generate a series of 6 different video options in 5 minutes or less.
Wow, okay. 5 minutes for 6 videos. That's really something. Is it actually working? Are sellers using it?
Seems like it. They said adoption was good during the beta, and about half the products that used the AI video tool, they were being advertised for the first time ever with video.
So it is helping smaller sellers get into video ads.
Looks that way. And the payoff seems decent, too. Sponsored brand campaigns that use video apparently see, on average, a 30% higher click-through rate compared to the static ones.
30%? That's significant.
Yeah, Amazon's really pushing this as a, quote, real, practical application of generative AI, something that's ready to scale up big time.
Okay, but there's always a but, right? What are the potential downsides here? For us as consumers, it just means more video ads, maybe.
Probably more varied ones, yeah.
Yeah.
But you raise a good point, downsides. The big one is always guardrails, especially with AI creating content.
Like making sure it doesn't generate ads for fake stuff, counterfeits.
Exactly. Amazon says these AI ads go through the exact same moderation process as everything else. Sounds good,
But past reporting, I remember seeing things from the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post a few years back. Their automated systems sometimes missed counterfeits, right?
They did. Now, the techs likely improve, they say, fewer visual glitches, weird extra fingers on people in the demos. But apparently, even in recent demos, some details were off, like illegible text on a watch face.
Stuff you might not notice at a glance, but still, imperfections. Shows the moderation challenge is real.
And it feeds into that broader trend, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Adobe, Meta.
Yeah.
They're all building tools to automate creative work, especially for ads.
Yeah, which is great for access for small businesses, like we said, but it definitely fuels those worries about jobs, graphic designers, video editors. What happens as these tools get better and faster?
It's that ongoing tension, isn't it? Empowerment versus disruption. Okay, let's shift gears. Completely different topic, different continent. Over to the UK.
Right. The UK data bill, it just passed Parliament.
And the big news is what's not in it. A really controversial amendment about AI and copyright got dropped.
Yeah, that caused quite a stir. There was this month-long back and forth, legislative ping pong between their House of Commons and House of Lords.
And it was all about this amendment pushed by the Lords and, well, basically the entire UK creative industry, right? Some huge names involved.
Huge names. Sir Elton John, Dua Lipa, Paul McCartney, Ian McKellen. A lot of heavy hitters. And they wanted one key thing. Transparency.
Meaning?
They wanted a law forcing tech companies to declare exactly which copyrighted materials, songs, books, art, films they used to train their AI models.
Okay. And why was that so important to them? What was the fear?
The core fear was that AI companies, especially big ones based overseas, would just sort of vacuum up all this UK-created content without asking, without paying.
And use it to train AI that could then replace human creators.
That was the worry. Job losses for artists, musicians, writers. They called it potential thievery on a high scale in an open letter. They argued that protecting their creative assets wasn't just fair, it would actually help the UK. They believed transparency would lead to a proper licensing market. Companies would pay to use the data, generating revenue and supporting UK creativity, which is a massive 120 billion sector for them.
And this isn't just theoretical, right? Having companies like OpenAI and Meta faced lawsuits over using copyrighted stuff without licenses?
Exactly. So the creatives had real grounds for concern, but the UK government didn't agree, or at least not with putting it in this bill.
Right. They refused the amendment. What was their reasoning?
They basically said, we're already looking into this. They have an ongoing consultation specifically about AI and copyright, and they plan a whole separate AI bill later on.
And the argument against the amendment from the government or tech side?
The counter-argument was that forcing this transparency now would hurt the UK's own AI industry, just as it's getting started. That it would stifle innovation and make the UK fall behind other countries globally.
Though the bill passed without the transparency rule. The creative side lost this round.
They did. One of the lords leading the charge, Baroness Kidron, called it a Pyrrhic victory for the government. They won the battle, but maybe lost something bigger.
And the creative groups are saying they'll keep fighting.
Oh, definitely. They've vowed to continue pushing for these kinds of protections. This fight isn't over.
Okay, so the AI copyright part was the big headline fight, but this data bill, it does other things too, right? Things that might affect people more directly.
Absolutely. Beneath the AI drama, there's some significant stuff in there. For example, new rules making it easier for bereaved parents to access data belonging to their deceased children.
Okay, that sounds important.
Yeah. And simplifying how data is shared within the NHS, their health service, which could improve care, and even, get this, plans for a 3D map of everything underground.
Like pipes and cables.
Exactly, to help coordinate roadworks better, which honestly sounds amazing if it works.
Yeah, less digging up the same road 3 times.
Yeah.
But there were other concerns too, weren't there, about privacy?
Yes. Big concerns raised, especially about changes to GDPR rules around automated decision-making. Critics argued the bill allows AI to make decisions on its own in more cases.
Decisions like?
Things like job applications, maybe loan approvals, potentially even policing decisions with fewer safeguards than before, and making it harder for you to challenge a decision made purely by an algorithm.
That sounds like something people should be aware of. Less human oversight.
Potentially, yeah. There were also worries about UK researchers getting first dibs on UK data, like NHS health data, before big US tech firms could access it.
Okay.
And questions about the burden on small businesses to comply with new data rules, and whether data might be transferred overseas without strong enough protections. So yeah, lots bubbling under the surface of this bill beyond just the AI copyright fight.
It really shows how tangled data, AI, and everyday life are becoming. Okay, let's connect one more dot for today, moving from policy to pure tech innovation and funding.
Right. Let's talk about multiverse computing. They're a startup based in Spain, originally known more for quantum computing stuff.
But they just raised a ton of money, right? A Series B round.
A huge round, $189 million, which is roughly $215 million US.
Wow. What tech got investors that excited? Is it quantum?
It's actually something they call compactive AI. It's described as quantum-inspired, using complex math, tensor networks that their CTO pioneered, but its application is very much in today's AI world.
Compactive AI. Okay. What does it do?
It compresses large language models, the massive AI models behind things like ChatGPT and other advanced AI.
Really big, complex ones?
Exactly. This tech can apparently shrink them down by up to 95%. 95% smaller.
Whoa. Okay, 95% smaller.
But does it still work? Do they lose accuracy?
That's the key claim. They say they can do this while only losing maybe 2-3% in accuracy. So huge size reduction, minimal performance hit.
Why is shrinking them so important? Just save disk space.
It's way more than that. Those big LLMs are, well, they're beasts. They need enormous computing power, cost a fortune to train, and maybe even more importantly, they cost a lot and use tons of energy just to run. The inference cost, right? When you actually use the AI.
Exactly. Which often means they can only run efficiently in big data centers on specialized cloud hardware. It's a massive barrier.
So compactive AI tackles that cost barrier.
Directly. By making the models so much smaller, they become much faster to run, supposedly 4x to 12x faster. And that speed, plus the small size, dramatically cuts those inference costs. They're talking 50% to 80% reductions.
50 to 80% cheaper to run. That's huge.
It really is. It could unlock using these powerful models in places where cost was prohibitive before.
And what does that mean practically? For you, for me, for everyday users?
Well, this isn't just about cheaper cloud AI. Big vision here is making these powerful LLMs efficient enough to run locally.
Locally, like on my phone or my laptop.
Exactly. On your PC, your phone, maybe built into your car systems, running on drones, even on tiny computers like a Raspberry Pi.
So powerful AI without needing a constant internet connection to a data center.
That's the potential. Imagine AI apps running faster because the processing happens right there. Maybe more private because your data doesn't have to leave your device. New kinds of applications possible in areas with bad or no connectivity.
Okay, I can see why investors poured $215 million into that. That sounds like a fundamental shift.
It really could be. And Multiverse isn't just starting out. They already have about 100 clients globally, including big names like Bosch, Iberdrola, even the Bank of Canada.
Wow. They've got traction.
Yeah, and 160 patents. This funding brings their total raise to around $250 million. They say revenue is doubling each year, helped by fees and a new partnership to host their API on Amazon Web Services.
So investors are betting this becomes like a core piece of future AI infrastructure.
That's the language they're using, calling it a potential foundational layer, a quantum leap for getting AI actually deployed out in the world, not just stuck in labs or data centers.
Making AI smarter, cheaper, and greener too, presumably, if it uses less energy.
Exactly. That efficiency push is seen as critical to unlock the next wave of AI adoption across that huge $106 billion AI inference market. It could really change how you interact with AI in, well, pretty much everything in the coming years.
Okay, quite a journey today. So just to quickly recap the dots we connected.
Let's do it.
We started with Amazon's new AI tool, basically helping small businesses jump into video advertising much more easily.
Right. Then we jumped over to the UK, where their new data bill passed without that controversial AI copyright transparency clause the creative industries were pushing for, though the fight continues.
And we finished with Multiverse Computing and their massive funding round for compact AI tech that dramatically shrinks those giant AI models.
Yeah, potentially bringing really powerful AI capabilities directly onto your personal devices, making it faster, cheaper, and maybe more private.
It really highlights how fast things are moving, from practical business tools to national policy debates to fundamental tech breakthroughs.
Absolutely. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing how we work, create, and just live.
Well, that's our time for connecting the dots today. Remember, we are here to help here at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Connecting the Dots.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.